Hello and good morning, everyone. This is Servium calling. Welcome to the next in the series of our INOOT webinars. My name is Steve Dawes and I'm the Services Director here at Servium, so welcome today. The purpose of our webinars are all about creating great experiences, helping you as our customers make informed decisions, talking about the technologies that are trending in the marketplace and things that we believe are groundbreaking, disruptive. So hopefully everyone has got their crunchies for registering early. So put your feet up, relax in these sort of days of Brexit turmoil. We'll hope to bring a little bit of calm to all our lives. So today we're focusing on Microsoft, and I'm kindly joined today by Tom Marwood, who's a Microsoft specialist from one of our distribution partners, West Coast. Good morning, Tom.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure.
So we're using Zoom as a platform to deliver the webinars today. So we will be making a recording and we'll be able to share that and publish it on our YouTube channel. There will be an opportunity towards the end to ask questions and answers and put those to myself and Tom. We'll do our best to answer them. So today really is, like I say, Office 365 versus Microsoft 365. When we talk to customers, there's a lot of confusion over the whole licensing and what's included, what isn't. So again, today it's all about dispelling the myths of Office 365 versus Microsoft 365. But 25th of October, let's look back in history. Let's see what's been going on before we kick off. Well, interestingly, 1960, the first electronic wristwatch went on sale in New York City. 1976, the Queen opened the National Theatre in London. 1978, that famous film Halloween, directed by John Carpenter, starring Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis, was released. 95, Cliff Richard was knighted. Interestingly, the first rock star to receive a knighthood. From an IT perspective, 2001, Windows XP became available. And 2012, the double-dip recession in the UK economy ended with a growth of 1% in GDPR. So some interesting facts there, but to us at Servium, more importantly, today is INOOT Day. So a little bit of background just to set the scene before I hand over to Tom. So as I mentioned, we're all about creating great experiences, helping you as our customers, but ultimately as a troubleshooter, putting you at the center of everything we do for you. And we believe we create a lot of value. We have a great account management team. They're very accessible, responsive. We have a great way of tackling your sort of business challenges and delivering that through partners in our services ecosystem. And Tom is a massive sort of part of that as well, helping us today. So our approach is very much helping you from the whole life cycle of a requirement, a project, a need, the strategy, the design, implementation and support. But the most important thing to us, I believe, is the review. At the end of our whole process, let's make sure that we've delivered the project on time to your expectations and more importantly within budget. So we believe the review process is really, really important. But a differentiator for us and for me as well as the services director is the whole sort of scale, breadth, depth of our services ecosystem. There's a massive amount of resource that you as our customers can tap into. Subject matter experts across all different technologies. And I think, again, we are very much vendor agnostic and our whole approach to services is vendor agnostic. Lead with the technology, not the vendor, be very transparent, and then we believe delivering a lot of value around that. So there's a lot we can offer, and we have delivered a previous webinar on our services ecosystem. It might be worthwhile dipping into that on our YouTube channel. So today, looking at our Servium Pathfinder, where does Microsoft 365, Office 365 fit? Ultimately, in the workspace for us, this is all about delivering great experiences for your end users, your customers in your businesses. So that's a little bit of background from me. So Tom, I'll hand over to you now, and the floor's all yours, sir.
Wonderful. Thanks, Steve. I think we need to have a conversation about whether or not Cliff Richard is a rock star later.
Yeah,
because that's a concern.
That's a good point.
But fair enough.
We'll maybe take a poll on that one as well, Tom.
You can do. I hope it's one-sided. We'll see.
Yes, any fans out there, but yeah, you carry on.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I'm just saying he's not specifically a rock star. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Marwood. As you can see, I work for a company called West Coast Cloud. So we provide Servium with everything Microsoft esque, as you would. So we kind of work on the back end behind what they do. So anything that they require from us, be it webinars like this, we're talking on the Microsoft level, anything that needs to be escalated to them, we're kind of like hidden in the dark away from people because they don't let me outside a lot. So we're here today to talk about Office 365 versus Microsoft 365. It's very specific. We get a lot of people ask a lot of the time the differences between the two. So I had a chat with Steve and we thought it would be a good thing to go through just to give you guys like this is Office and this is Microsoft. They do communicate well together, but it's worth noting the differences because there is quite a considerable price difference. So make sure you don't order the right one. That would be a problem. So just to go through it, we'll start with Office 365 first because it's always worthwhile. Now, Office 365, and again, it goes back to what Microsoft market this as, because it's very specific. Back 10 or so years ago, Office 365 was simply a box product that you purchased, right? Now, fast forward to 2019, it's actually used by, I believe, 1.5 billion. We can't change it to 2 billion yet because the number hasn't flicked. As a rough guide, they own around 75-ish% of the business market for Office licensing. So if you look at the alternatives, 75% of the market is owned by Microsoft. So they've done okay there, you'd think. But you'd class it as a standard product. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, your normal stuff that you used to go to Dixon's back in my day, purchase from a shop. It's all on a disk, off a disk, sorry, and away you go. And that was it. If you fast forward to 2019, it's a lot more complex. And this is why you have partners like Servium who want to go into the nitty gritty and go through the actual products that you do get. Because if you actually have a moment to look at what's included in Office 365 now, it's everything in the spin wheel on the screen in front of you. So it's not just the apps. You also get things like Stream, which is Microsoft's hosted video platform service. It's not a competitor to YouTube or anything like that, but it is, if you take Microsoft Teams, for example, if you do a recording like this, it would automatically upload it to Stream in HD quality so you can view it or share it and send it over to colleagues whenever you wish, which is another free feature that's inside Microsoft that people don't necessarily know about. Another one is Planner. So again, the names are pretty self-explanatory, but it is a planning tool. So you can set tasks, have them against people in your company, and that can link to Outlook to let them know when tasks are due. And you can monitor it all in the dashboard, which also links to Teams, which can then link to Power BI, etc. So all of these things are included. So it's always worth noting that Office 365 isn't just the products that you're used to or may have been noted a long time ago. It's a whole list of around 40 to 45 different individual products, which constantly change as well. So as of next month, for example, there's some features coming into Microsoft 365 Business and Business Premium that aren't currently included in the plan, which will change it slightly. And we're talking about the calling features that you can get in Teams. So these are all things that are changing. It's why there are partners like Servium out there that do the webinars like this, that help you get clued up and kept up to date in everything that's changing, because it's hard enough for me to check every announcement every day and every month that's going on with Microsoft. So if it's difficult when I'm on the ground dealing with this day to day, I can only imagine how hard it is, not just for Servium, but for even you guys as customers to try and know what you've got in each license. So that's why we're here. The way that Office 365 works in terms of plans, and again, this may be something that people already know, but it's worth a refresher. They split it into 7 plans. So 7 total plans on Office 365. You can buy these as a plan, or you can buy the products inside them as standalone options. So for example, if you took Exchange Online, which is this lovely thing on the left here, if you just wanted hosted email, you can buy just hosted email. It costs you around £3 a month, I believe, to Microsoft, and it is just an email inbox, and that's it. But the moment you go over 2 products or more, so if you wanted hosted email and communication and collaboration with Teams, it's worth buying a different product. because the costings of 2 individual products outweigh that of a plan. And Microsoft love their plans, because once you're signed into a plan, you get a whole extra load of features that you didn't know existed, and then you may be using them. So the first one is the services one, and that's how they split it. They split it services, applications, or both as a combination. So Business Essentials is your services plan. So that's anything that is hosted by Microsoft. So if you take a hosted email with Exchange, a collaboration in the chat tool with Teams, hosted team sites with SharePoint, some personal storage with OneDrive, that is their services, and that's exactly what you get in Business Essentials. Retails for around £3.80, £3.90 a user a month, I think, but gives you everything you need on a cloud level, right? But doesn't give you any applications. It gives you what's known as Office Online, but if you ever used Office Online, you may never want to do that again. It's not great for a reason. It gives you an idea and like a feeling of Office, but it won't give you the full feature set. If you move on to the applications, it's Office 365 Business. So this is everything you used to buy on a disk in the shop. All your applications in one place. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, all of that stuff. Also some personal storage with OneDrive, but it doesn't give you anything on the hosted level. So it doesn't give you any hosted email. If you just bought Business, you may have your email hosted somewhere else, but it won't give you that cloud services access. And then you've got Business Premium, which essentially is Essentials and Business combined into one. This one retails at around just shy of £8 a user a month, I believe, but it gives you everything on a business level. And this is capped to 300 users. So if you are a small business, this is ideal for you. There are some things in a moment I'm going to talk about that may not be great if you're looking at doing like certain remote desktop services, etc. But this is limited to 300 users. So if you're over that level, these may not be ideal for you. But again, this is limited to 300 users per company. So it may be, for example, that you have 300 users in your company that fit this business premium model. So they could have that, and the other users may need something else, at which point you can license them, because all plans are cross-compatible. You can have them on a tenant at one point. You're not forced down one avenue as you would. You can do whatever you like with it. And again, it's where Servium come into play, because if you want to go through and reel off what you want to use Office for, they can go through and quote what the best plans are for you, etc. If you go on to the enterprise plans, it's the same premise as business. So unlimited users, first of all. So you can have one user on this or tens of thousands. There is no limit. E1 is your services equivalent on enterprise levels. This is your Business Essentials in the enterprise world, right? Comes with everything that Business Essentials came with, but also gives you one thing extra, which is the ability to use Teams as a calling platform. Now, we're using Zoom here. Microsoft have their own one, Skype calling plans, Team calling plans, etc. But this is what it opens up to. So every service that you look at in here, so Exchange, SharePoint, and Teams/Skype, have a plan 1 and a plan 2. Teams is more, when you buy Teams, you get Teams, but there is a feature set that you can unlock in a separate plan. But Exchange, if you take that as an example, plan 1 gives you a 50 gig mailbox. Plan 2 gives you a 50 gig mailbox with unlimited archiving functionality and things like litigation hold and policy protection, all of these things. So again, it's worth noting what you want to get out of your email system. So E1 is just exactly the same as Business Essentials, but giving you the ability to do calling. Pro Plus is exactly the same as Business. However, it gives you what's known as remote desktop functionality. And this goes in again, if you are a customer who has a server on site that you need to access when you're out on the road, etc., you will need to connect remotely to that server. If you need to do that, Pro Plus is your starting point, because none of the business plans will offer you that capability. So if something that you need, it's where you start the Pro Plus stuff, but other than that, it is the same as business. E3 is your business premium level on enterprise. So it comes with everything that business premium comes with. It increases your mailbox size to 100 gig. It comes with Exchange Plan 2, so it comes with your archiving and litigation hold, as you can see here. It comes with Teams calling and a whole list of extra security features as well that are on top of it, which you can buy separately as add-ons. So if you had Business Premium and you were happy with that, but there was one security feature that you wanted from E3, you can buy that as an add-on. You don't have to go all the way up. And then you have E5, which is Microsoft's all-in product. It exists for a reason. It is everything all in one. So it is everything that E3 has, and analytics tools and reporting tools and advanced protection on threat levels for emails. Everything you can imagine that they sell as a product is inside E5, and it retails at around £30 a user a month. So if you take E3, which is around £17.50, and E5 that's £30, the difference is vast. From our side at West Coast, we have over 700,000 licenses on our platform now, and I can tell you that under 100 of those ish, maybe slightly more now, are E5s, because we don't tend to go down the E5 route. We will speak to the customer, and we'll speak to Servium in this case, and we'll find out what they want to use this E5 product for. And 99% of the time, you can get everything that you want out of an E5, out of the E3 with add-ons, and save yourself a considerable amount of money. So it's always worth asking the question, because everything in an E5 you can get in an E3 if you manage the add-ons correctly and do some bolt-ons, etc. So it is here. It may be that you do need it. Again, it goes back to every user is different. So it may be that some people in your company need an E5 and the rest will be fine with an E3. And that's where you can flex them around, and you can have every license different on your tenancies. Yeah, it's cross-compatible, so you can do what you like. So that's the business, the office plan, sorry. It's very straightforward. I'd like to think you can do whatever you like with it. You're not stuck in just picking a plan and then that's it for the rest of your Microsoft experience, or whatever you want to call it. It's not just one license per tenant. It's based on a user experience, so you can do whatever you like with it, and users can be licensed based on what they need. Then you go into Microsoft 365. Now, I don't know who runs the marketing department at Microsoft. I'd like to have a word, because it is confusing having something so similar in naming, but something very different in a product. This has actually been out for around coming up to 3 years, I think, in July. Oh no, actually, it'll be 3 years in November, because what they did initially was release a product called Secure Productive Enterprise, which they trialed for 6 months. It was under the radar, they didn't advertise it. Skip forward to their yearly seminar in Vegas called Microsoft Inspire, and they launched a product called Microsoft 365, which is what I'm going to talk about now, which was the same thing. So it's not a brand new product. This has been tried and tested around for a few years now, but it is something that is not advertised all too well from Microsoft about exactly what you get in it. So here we are going through it. Now, Microsoft 365 are 3 products combined in one. And the reason they did it this way is they went to the market a while ago, and they did these 3 stats. So the reason that Microsoft Teams existed, or exists today, is because 50% more time is spent in collaborative activities according to their survey. That means that, and we see it here at West Coast, our sales team is now talking more to our product teams, support teams are talking more to management teams, etc. If you look at 5 years ago, it was very much siphoned businesses. So sales was sales, customer service was customer service. Nowadays, everyone's talking to everyone. It's because CSP is a customer-led experience, and it's fully flexible in what you want to do. Everything is customized. So we need to make sure that everything is covered across the board. So people are now communicating a lot better across platforms. It's also a lot easier to communicate across platforms with the joys of the cloud, etc. So Microsoft Teams was released, and Microsoft started using that as a collaboration tool. They've also done a bit of research into how remote working is existing. We at West Coast are a very proud advocate of remote working. We don't really need to be in the office all that much, like 5 days a week, etc. If we can do it somewhere else, we'll gladly do that. They predict 72% of workers will be working remotely by 2020. It's only a few months away. I'd like to state that 72% of workers that can remote work will be working that way by 2020. So retail staff obviously can't do that. So it's not that stat. And then 43% of cyber attacks target small businesses. And this goes back to the statement of, and we get it quite a lot at West Coast. Small businesses are more blasé to the fact that security is an issue. It's not hidden as such. Enterprise customers, they believe, smaller companies believe enterprise customers are more susceptible to it because of the bigger companies. But if you look at the statistics, it's a lot easier to infiltrate 7 smaller companies than it is 1 bigger company, right? So the cyber attack levels on smaller companies are increasing on a day rate. The only reason that anti-malware exists is because malware exists in the first place, right? So it needs to be on top of it on a regular basis. Fast forward to what's known as Microsoft 365. So as you can see in front of you, there are 7 plans. There's actually more if you look at a charity level, but they're the same as the corporate. We're not going to touch on education today, and the reason that we're not is because once you learn the corporate SKUs, you've already learned the education SKUs. So if I go through the E3 SKU, you're going to know what's included in the A3 SKU from education. So don't think once I finish the slide deck I haven't touched on it. I have. We're just going to cover the corporate ones because they're the same thing. The only difference between education and corporate, as you can see at the bottom, the education version includes student use benefits for the license and Minecraft for education. Okay, so the main difference between the two, as you're going to see on the screen in a minute, is it's broken into 3 standard plans that you can buy now into one bundle. There is a benefit to buying it this way as well. If you buy the bundle, you also get a single management dashboard where you can have all users and devices in one location. So if you buy Office 365 and EMS, I'm going to get to in a minute, you still have to manage them individually. Whereas if you buy Microsoft 365, you get given the dashboard where you can manage all users, all devices in one place. You can also deploy Office applications automatically on devices across the company. So it's a lot easier to manage. But I digress. So we're going to start with the most common one, or the most popular one, sorry, which is the E3 version. So we're not going to go small business upwards. We're going to start with the most popular one. It comes with Office 365 E3, which I've touched on already. So all the standard Office plans we just mentioned a second ago. It then comes with Windows 10 E3, which is an upgrade on an operating system. So that's the most important part of what I'm about to say. It's not a standard operating system that you can buy on its own and it's going to work. You still need an underlying OS of Windows 10 Professional. I believe it's Service Pack 1 or above that you need installed on the device for it to work. That's officially from Microsoft. We have tried it on Windows 7 and 8.1 PCs as well, and it does work. So if you've got Windows 7 or Windows 8.1, you can upgrade to Windows 10 E3 through this route, but Windows 10 Professional, just make sure you have Service Pack 1. Now, it's very important, down to the fact that Windows 7 end of support is coming. January 2020 is the end of it. So if you have any people here that still have Windows 7, it is worth looking at this. It's the easiest way I can see of upgrading to Windows 10, but you're not just upgrading to Windows 10, you're upgrading to what's known as Windows 10 Enterprise. It's not an increased feature set. It's another list of security levels, as you can see on your screen. And again, if you want to go into detail, I know we've only got 20 minutes on the webinar, but if you want to go into detail of what Windows 10 Enterprise actually comes with, let Steve know after this, or the Servium guys, and we can either have a separate call or I can go through the benefits and the pluses and minuses of it. But it is just an advanced feature set. So if you have Windows 10 Pro, you've already got everything that comes with it in terms of customization and what you can do with it. But this is an entirely different elevated level of security. So you get Office 365, you have a Windows 10 upgrade if you need it, and then you get what's known as EMS, so Enterprise Mobility and Security. Again, another product that has been around for a while, but this is now bundled in. And if you go back to the management panel, like I said earlier, through this model is a lot easier to manage. So EMS is Microsoft's security offering, competitor to what's known as AirWatch, I think in the States. That's the number 1 competitor over there. But it comes with 3 products. So Active Directory, which is your credential protection, so it gives you the ability for single sign-on, self-service password resets, you can reset your password on the go whenever you like, and then a form of multi-factor authentication. So another way of warning yourself if you're logging in, so a text message sent to you, a phone call sent to you, etc. Just so you know, and if someone's trying to breach your account, etc., they can't without another form of authentication, right? So you are protected on a credential level. Then you've got information protection, used to be called rights management, is a file encryption piece. So full file encryption for the user. You can see if you send an email when someone replies to it, if they forwarded it, if they've viewed the document, you can have the document unforwardable if you wanted to, etc. And on top of that, you can track it all inside the management portal, so you can see what's actually happened to that email. And then finally, you've got Microsoft Intune, which is your mobile device management piece, or MDM for short, which is a way of protecting your mobile devices. So it gives you things like, if you look at a banking app on your phone, for example, I've got Barclays on mine. If you try and take a screenshot of the Barclays app when you have it open, it says that you can't, because security features prevent that. If you close it and try and quick open it again, it won't let you. You have to log in again. That is essentially a form of Intune. It's taking your mobile device and limiting what you can do with certain apps. You can stop certain apps being downloaded, or any app entirely downloaded. You can stop your camera being used if you want to communicate it across things like Facebook, etc. So you can limit what you can and can't do on your device, which is great for company phones. If you lose the company phone on a train, etc., the support team in the offices can wipe the phone without even finding it, so it has full remote data wipe. And if someone leaves the company, you can let them keep their phone if it's their personal phone, but you can remove all company data and let them keep all personal data, etc. So it's a way of protecting your device. So what you've got here is a full suite protecting you from device level with Windows 10, Intune from a mobile device level, information protection from your file level, and Active Directory from a credential level. Full security on across the board for you as a user, and then the Office apps to go with it. When you step away from that, you go into what's known as the E5 level. And again, this goes to what I was saying earlier with Office 365 E5 being a bit overkill, and you can do add-ons if you wanted it to be E3 to become an E5. The same thing goes for this. So if you see anything on here that you think, actually, E3 gives me everything I need, except for this one piece, you can do the same with this. So E5 comes with everything that Office E5 comes with. Gives you Windows 10 E5, the difference being that comes with what's known as Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection, which is their, I don't want to call it their antivirus, like a Norton-ish level thing, but it essentially is, that you can buy separately. And EMS E5, which gives you the Plan 2s of Active Directory and information protection, which Active Directory gives you a higher level of tracking in regards to breaches, etc., or potential breaches. It will let you know if someone's tried to be breached, etc., on a dashboard that you get given. Information protection is a lot more automated file encryption. So, for example, if I sent an email to Steve today and encrypted it, and with a certain level of security, the next time I try and send something to Steve, it'll automatically encrypt it based on what I've sent before. So it's just intelligent encryption. It's just trying to remember what you were doing previously. And all of the encryption levels you can customize yourself. Again, across users, you can have different user brackets. So standard users can have a certain level of encryption, managers can have another level, directors can have a high level, etc. It's up to you what you want to do with it. And then the final piece is Microsoft's Cloud App Security, which again you can buy separately, but is software as a service protection. So any app that you install that's authorized from Microsoft, it can regularly check to see if any breaches have happened inside that app. So I'm trying to think of an example. There was a thing with Spotify a decade ago now. I'm sure they're going to love it if they ever find us as me talking about it. But about a decade ago, there was a thing in Spotify. If any of you have the free version of Spotify, you'll know that when you have it open, usually on a browser or the desktop app, there's a little advert in the bottom left corner that flicks around. What happened overnight was someone decided to upload a Trojan onto the adverts to flip around. So whenever someone loaded up the app the next day, when it flipped around to that advert, it installed the Trojan on your PC and locked you out of it. And that happened to millions of people. I was one of them. It's why I have premium now, not the free one. But if we had something like Cloud App Security, it would recognize that before turning off your computer at night and turning on in the morning, something had happened to that application that wasn't authorized by the Microsoft Store / Spotify as a company, so it wouldn't let you open it. So it's just protecting you on a application level as well. So it's another level of security. Intune is Intune, by the way. You won't see it on here. It does still come with Intune. There's just not a Plan 1 and a Plan 2. So once you've got Intune itself, you've got all the features that you need for it. And then finally, you've got the business version. So this is slightly dumbed down from the enterprise level. You get Business Premium. So everything's in the Business Premium. You get Windows 10 Pro. So not the upgrade to Enterprise, but again, still good for people on Windows 7, 8.1 if you're using that as an operating system. This is an upgrade to Windows 10 Pro. And EMS SMB, so small business is what they call it. So features of Intune, Active Directory, and information protection, but it's limited features. So if you take Intune and the ability to remote data wipe, That feature isn't in this product. If you wanted that, you would have to go up to the EMSE3 piece. But everything else is in there from a standard piece. There's some extra features on the left-hand side. You can see a small print. I don't know if you can read it there. It's like self-service group management you can't do inside Active Directory. But again, if you wanted to go through the technical exact what is in business and what isn't in business, let us know. I believe we have a cheat sheet that we can send over to you just to show you what's in what's piece. Again, if you go back to, as I was saying with Office 365, these Microsoft 365 plans come with everything that you expect from an access level. So if you have CAL rights on Office 365, it's exactly the same plans that are in here. So don't think of them as different Office plans. They're exactly the same. It's just you've got bolted on device and security features as well to go with it. To give you an idea, the Microsoft 365 E3 piece sells at around £27 a user a month, I think. So £10 more than an Office on its own. So for an extra £10, you get a Windows upgrade and full security. Business, this one sells at around £15 instead of £9.80, I believe, around the £9.50 mark. So slightly more. And then E5 is around £50 a user. So a whopping difference. But again, you're probably not going to need E5. You can do the bolt-ons onto an E3 and it works out more cost effective for you. There are some things that have changed from Microsoft in the last year that are worth noting just to go with this piece. So they've released 2 SKUs, which are your add-on products to Microsoft 365 E3. So when Microsoft 365 first launched, you had a choice of E3 or E5. And if you wanted some pieces that were in E5, you had to buy the E5, and that's no longer the case. So they've released identity and threat protection and information protection and compliance, which are a mouthful, which give you add-ons from the E5 that you can bolt onto E3, which I'll show you in a graph in a minute. They've released Advanced Threat Protection Plan 2. So they've taken away a couple of plans on a threat intelligence level and combined it into a Plan 2 piece. And Plan 1 used to be called Exchange Only. So if you look at the Advanced Threat Protection pieces, so your security pieces, they used to be only for Exchange. So you could only protect your email. What they've done now is they've opened it up to protect SharePoint files, OneDrive files, Teams environments, etc. So just leveled that off a bit. They've renamed Cloud App Security. So what they've done is they've taken away, again, it's more of a feature of adding some more benefits to the Cloud App Security piece. So instead of just focusing on standalone SKUs, and now open up across the entire Microsoft branch. And there is a tool inside Microsoft called My Analytics. It used to be called Delve, if you were aware of it some time ago, which is a way of reporting what you're doing with your day-to-day on a weekly basis. So it shows you how many times you're in meetings, if meetings are overlapping with emails, if you need to do more work here and there, etc. If you have a meeting planned in Newcastle on a Monday and another one planned on a Thursday, it will recommend you try and combine the two, that type of thing. That's now included in every Office plan. So it's another feature that goes back to that spin wheel earlier, whereas this just slipped in from Microsoft. They announced it as a release. And if we weren't aware of it, people probably didn't know about it. But My Analytics is free in every plan. If you're using Office 365 now, you will have the analytics piece. You just need to pop into the admin portal and have it enabled for users, and it will start reporting back to you. A little bit of focus on the add-ons. This just shows you here. As I mentioned earlier, Windows Defender ATP was only available in E5 previously. If you want it in E3, you buy this add-on. So it's around, I think this one's around £7 a month. So 25 plus 7 is a lot cheaper than 50. So you just get this and it bolts on. And that's pretty much it for me. It just gives you an idea of everything about the 2 separate plans. It's always worth noting that there could be more stuff coming. I only know what's coming out gradually from Microsoft. We do know ahead of time. As I said earlier, with extended support, that's due to be coming out in December at some point. So if you are stuck on Windows 7 and you don't think that you can be off by the end of January, speak to Steve and the Servium guys, because there is extended support available for Microsoft in terms of Windows 7. But any questions at all, Steve, I am here to answer them for you.
That's brilliant, Tom. That gone through that in great detail. I know there's a lot of information.
It's a hard one.
It is, yeah, because there is just so much information. And as you said, the goalposts are changing constantly, day by day, week by week. But so So we'll open the floor now. There's a Q&A button there, and if there's any questions you want to ask, you can ask them anonymously, and I'll fire them over to Tom. And Tom also mentioned there that if you want to do a further deep dive on this, we're just scratching the surface really, then there's an opportunity just to flag that in the poll at the end, and we'll do a bit more of a one-on-one deep dive. Is there anything specific that you'd like to drill down on? So questions and answer, a question box there if you want to click on that. Some ones to go through here, Tom. So I'll fire away. From Jennifer, Microsoft 365, does it support sort of a BYOD type policies?
Yes, it does, because it's built into EMS, right? So as long as your device is registered on an EMS level with the company, you can bring any device you like.
Okay.
My phone, my personal phone I've got here has EMS enabled on a company.
Yeah, okay, that's good. One from Graham, I think you might have answered this before, but just to be specific, can I combine Microsoft 365 and other subscriptions offerings such as Azure, Dynamics 365 and so on?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, fully compatible across the whole lot.
Because I know historically you used to have to stick to one plan, didn't you? Microsoft were quite rigid, so they're a lot more flexible now than they have been, haven't they?
It's as if they listened.
Yeah.
Which is rare, but they did.
That's good. A question here from William in relation to if I'm on Office 365, how easy to switch it to Microsoft 365?
It's very straightforward. So once it's purchased, it is just a flip over. So it depends. It really depends on what you're going from. If you're going from an E3 Office down to a Business Premium, you need to reinstall Office. Mm-hmm. Any other thing is just a like for like. So if you're going from Business Premium to Microsoft 365 E3, it's just a flip over in the admin center and nothing needs to be done because the feature set gets unlocked.
Okay.
So yeah, it's simple.
Cool. Question from Hugh: the Windows 10 in Microsoft 365 Business, is it just an upgrade? So do you still need the OS for a new machine, for example?
It is just an upgrade, yes. Right. So it's not a standalone OS. So you'll need Windows 7 or 8.1 to go up to Pro.
Right. Okay. Question in relation from Aidan in relating to the sort of the storing of data in Office 365 and what's the stand on the US government accessing
that? Why a politician
specifically Donald Trump.
Yeah. I wouldn't know what Microsoft's stance is on it. I could find out for you. There's a lot of things changing. The problem that we have at the minute is Parliament's rubbish. I don't want to get political. No. But we Microsoft will not do anything in terms of the laws of data or anything until some form of Brexit deal is sorted, right? So at the moment, just so everyone is aware, if you're looking at moving your data from EU where it may be held to the UK, there is no process for it at the moment. They may make it available, but at the minute it's sitting there until a definitive answer is made. I could find out for you.
Yeah, I'd be interested
about it.
Okay.
Because, yeah, that's a nice question.
Interesting question. Yeah. Well, it's always good to put you on the spot, Tom.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. Cool. Well, I think that's it. Unless anyone's got any more questions, what I'd like to do now is just sort of launch the poll. So it's great to get sort of feedback from you all on how our webinars go, so that we can fine tune them and tweak them. This is. We've been running them now for about a year, and this is the second one that Tom's helped us on. So it's great to get feedback. If you wouldn't mind sort of taking the time out on that. So Tom, thanks very much for your time. That's really, really useful. Hopefully everyone's learned a lot. But again, if there's anything specific anyone would like say a one-to-one session, then we're happy to arrange that. Just highlight that in the poll, or get in touch with myself or your account manager, and then we can do some more specifics because, again, we're sort of in the time we've got. It's limited on how much information we can we can pass on. So we will be. This webinar has been recorded, so for everyone who's attending today, we will be sharing that with you later on today, so you can distribute that amongst your colleagues if you so wish. But also we will publish this on our YouTube channel in the next sort of 10 days. So again, content, there's a lot of content up there. For example, Tom kindly did one last year for us on Microsoft Teams that's still relevant today. So there's a lot of content there on the YouTube channel that is available, as well as this recording as well.
So one thing about Adrian's question as well, while I'm having a think.
Yeah, go on.
When you set up your tenant, you specify where you want your data to be held, right? So if I set up a tenant today, it's stored in the UK.
Yeah.
All data, excluding one product from Microsoft. So if I have an E3, every single piece of data, Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, is stored in the UK, and that fits under whichever country you pick. It fits under their act. So we're under EU law at the minute, right?
Yeah.
So the US cannot go into that data because it fits under EU law.
Yeah.
That may change going forward. The only SKU that does communicate to US data centers is Power BI.
Right.
But you can disable that. So if you by default, it will share reports and stuff over to the Microsoft data centers in the US and back again. But you can enable it to go back and stay stored in your data center. So everything as such, it depends on where you create your tenant is where your data is stored. And if you make it in the UK, the US government shouldn't be able to access any of it.
Okay. That's good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Thanks for that update, Tom.
There you go.
Great. Thank you.
I just needed 5 minutes for my brain to work.
Right. Okay. Well, look, Tom, that's been really useful today. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Just for the benefit of that, we've got another INOOT webinar on Friday, the 8th of November. So 2 weeks today, 10 o'clock. This particular one, we're partnering with Dell ENC around their integrated data protection appliance, the DP4400, which is an all-in-one converged appliance that provides backup, replication, deduplication, backup DR, and so on. So that's going to involve pretty much a live demo. So again, putting us on the spot. So if you're interested in that, please register. Go to our INOOT hub on our website, and you'll find details there. Right, well, that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hopefully you found that benefit. And don't forget, clocks go back on Sunday, BST ends, GMT starts. So thanks for everyone, and enjoy the rest of your Friday. Thank you.